October 10th, 2022. On this day, starting at 7 in the morning, Russia massively attacked Ukrainian cities with missiles. The enemy launched Ha-101, Ha-555, Caliber, S-300 missiles and Tornado multiple launch rocket systems. In total, 83 cruise missiles and 13 Iranian drones. Half of these air targets were shot down by Ukrainian air defense. In order to disable the critical infrastructure of Ukraine and kill 19 civilians, Russia spent about $700 million in a few hours.
War is expensive. Some people say that it costs $500 million rubles a day. In fact, budget statistics rather say that 300–400 million rubles a day. But these are huge sums.
According to the Russian economist, military spending will increase by 1 to 1.5 trillion rubles in 2022 and the next year. And this is about 16 to 25 billion dollars. Russia has already lost the same amount during 6 months of war in Ukraine. This is the cost of Russian equipment which was destroyed by the Ukrainian army, the journalists of Forbes.ua calculated.
During the war, the enemy lost about 2,000 tanks, 234 aircraft and 15 ships. For 6 months in Ukraine, the Russians lost 12,142 pieces of equipment worth $16.5 billion, excluding missiles, from analytic material in Forbes UA publication.
Russia's total military spending in less than 9 months of the war has already exceeded several tens of billions of dollars. These are the annual budgets of several medium-sized Russian cities at once. As for medicine, Russia annually spends 60 billion rubles on medicines for the people with orphan diseases. With all the money already spent on the war, it was possible to keep people with rare diseases alive for 105 years. And the other way, State Duma deputies refused to support a bill on indexation of pensions for working pensioners. We are talking about the amount of 540 billion rubles a year. Russia spent the same amount in just 22 days of war in Ukraine.
The implementation of the proposed changes will lead to an increase in additional expenditures of funds from the federal budget, the sources for the repayment of which are not defined in the draft law. From a report in the Izvestia newspaper.
An amount equal to 82 days of war would be enough to gasify the whole Russia. Now the average rate of gasification in the country is 72%. In some regions, such as in the Altai territory, gasification does not even reach 15%.
The Russian people will lose from this. These ordinary Russians, grandmothers, people who are now in favor of Russia for the special operation, because there will be less gas revenues, which means that there will be fewer subsidies and support for the population.
Due to a lack of funds, Russia reduced spending on education, in particular on food for children in schools and kindergartens. Back in the spring, medical expenses have also been cut, but the Kremlin does not consider the cost of the war. And again, in a few hours on November 15th, Russia spent about $700 million firing our 90 missiles at Ukraine. Reported by Roman Smoler, Natalia Husak, UATV News.